All right, I guess let's get started. So, what's up, everyone?
Hola.
It is volume XLII
XLII.
42.
Pull and pray. P&P. You know.
That PP.
Oh man. If if you're pulling, you gotta be praying nowadays. So
Yeah.
that's just what we've been conditioned to believe. So yeah, but hopefully y'all are good. You know, everybody who's been listening. All is
We're
well
watching.
and watching.
Shout out to the YouTube views.
Yeah. I don't have no idea, but
So that means you
shout
have an
out.
idea.
Yeah, my idea is none. So yeah. But yeah, shout out to y'all supporting and whatnot, you know, making us hypersane.
Yeah.
And you know, we haven't done in a while. Try to ask for topics.
We may have to do that this coming week.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'll be dead inside.
Why?
You know. I think it's
oh yeah.
I'm gonna call it ECD. It's East Coast Depression. It's hitting.
It's prominent.
Yeah. So
Or actually SLD, Swamp Life Depression.
we got to start up a new series. Call it Swamp Life.
Legit. Hyper Swamp Life.
Talk about
next
qualms.
volume. Next volume title: Hyper Swamp Life. Easy.
All right, minor edit. Swamp Ass Life.
All right.
Just to keep the restroom references going. You know, we got PP this week, and keep it Swamp Ass Life next week.
You gotta love the bodily functions. You gotta love them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's understandable given you were in, you know, a utopia for a while. Is what it seems.
Not even, but yeah, it's not shit. We'll put it that way. Yeah, I mean, we'll put it out. I was, you know, I was a hypocrite. I decided to, you know, go to California. So, yes, I traveled. Yes, there's still a virus. I know. Go ahead, shun me. But I don't have it. I didn't give it to anyone, so everything's fine. But yeah, it's. I guess we could chat about that a little bit. We can, you know, I'll sort of link that into the topic that I had. Yeah, it's it's incredible. I've never been to the West Coast, so I think the furthest I've been, actually I don't know the furthest I've been, but when I was anywhere near there, it was only for, I mean, a couple days, and it's not like I got to go out and explore. It was, you know, with a group of people, and yeah, we were doing our own thing. So it wasn't like free reign, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice there. Compared to 105-degree Florida, it was a maximum of 75 degrees during the day. And at night, it was anywhere between 65 and 68, and breezy and clear, cloudy, sunny, dry,
no Ramsey,
with a whole ocean. Yeah, so and it was every other day, like the mornings, it was either it would be like cloudy in the morning, like, you know how sometimes it'll get foggier in the morning, and then when the sun comes out, it clears it. No fog, just clouds, just a nice sheet of clouds over. So, you know, not gloomy. They're all just white clouds, you know, covering. It's still light out in the morning, and yeah, once it reaches like noon, just sun. All the clouds are gone, or some stay, and yeah, it was like that every day, or it just started out sunny. So,
And shout out all our West Coast listeners. I mean, they get to live this every day. So,
yeah,
yeah.
if anyone is out there, yeah, you're a lucky son of a bitch.
And surely not sweaty.
Yeah, definitely not. Unless you do exercise. That's about the only way. Because if you
That's
walk
wild.
outside, I mean, you're fine for the most part, unless you're going like a distance. But
Let's
yeah.
just think about it. It's funny. Just on a side note,
Mhm.
trying to check someone's temperature in Florida, especially being outside, it's like it's a joke.
Yeah, we just realized that these surface thermometers are pointless.
Yeah.
And, we're checking for internal temperature externally. So let's just think about that one real quick. So I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I mean, those thermometers are great tools, for like food, but or
We're
like
not a
an
glob
object
of
that you
meat.
need to know. Yeah. Well, we are.
We are, but
Yeah. Meat glob. Hey.
legit. But we're not that type of glob of meat, not of the
Right.
edible, source. Hopefully not, unless you're Hannibal. But
We'll call those hunks of meat.
yeah. But yeah, temperature checks in Florida and terrible, thermometers don't really mix well. So it's all it's all a recipe for
Yeah, great value
fear
thermometers out here
yep,
saying we got
and chaos.
101s.
That might be why Florida's freaking popping. They're like, oh, he has a fever, he has the virus, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just stepped outside and that was it. So
The real good test is rectal thermometers. That will get
ah,
you right.
that sounds very. That
And you
sounds
know why they're the
interesting.
best? Because it's so similar to getting railed. So
Ugh.
there you go.
Ugh.
The
Rectal.
positive is
Just
the,
that word.
yeah, yeah, for your rectum. No
Oh man.
8, luckily, only like 2.
Sadly.
But still one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's crazy. Especially if you've been outside, you're gonna read like 105. Like what was you got you got checked once with the forehead one, and what did you read? Because you were outside before.
They didn't even tell me. That's how
Oh,
bad it was. But
you
I
probably read like
came.
103. It's
Yeah,
like
it was
yeah,
like
I actually was just sunbathing, so
pretty much.
dang.
And she was like, "Oh, it's over." And I'm like, "I mean, I've been outside." And then she just proceeded to let me in. So I mean,
Yeah, so great security out here, and
yep, and
just have the right
technology.
tools for the job. Yeah,
Yep.
always. Just the U.S. is the best at it. Right tools. So
Yep. But yeah.
yeah,
Anyways, yeah.
going
So
back
back
to
to your West Coast.
back to the geography thing. So I just I find it interesting because I think that after that I realize how much where you live can have an effect on like your life, morale, attitude, and not just like socially and all that, but just like solely geographically. Whether you're like weather conditions and like terrain. Besides, like, yeah, everywhere or most places are going to have lots of buildings and whatnot, or houses if it's suburban, high rises, I mean, whatever. But just anything that's like not really man made, how it has an effect, like how much nature you can be exposed to and all that sort of thing. Because like I can tell you from like not having as much close to me here as opposed to going out like in Tallahassee to trails and stuff all the time. I definitely can tell an effect because it sort of has lowered my morale quite a bit even then.
That's
And
fair.
now I've just been exposed to some godlike geography, and yeah,
You wish you were
now,
there all along.
yeah. And so now that I'm back, it's like, dang, what am I doing? Need
But
to get
imagine
there.
being from like one of those places and then traveling to like a lesser area and you're like geographic wise.
You don't
Would
want to.
that's what
I
I'm
actually,
saying. So then that changes your whole
yeah. I don't know if I told you. One of my the Lyft drivers out there, because it was definitely a lot cheaper than Uber, and the first Uber driver or the first Lyft driver that I had was saying how out there right now, the Uber drivers control the surcharge value. So like times 2, times 3. So like they could all sit around for a little while, make you wait, and then charge double. And you're going to pay for it probably
fudge.
because they've just been smart and waited and then said, yeah, I'm going to charge double now, but you need the ride. So you're going to pay it. Whereas Lyft is still just, you pay for the ride, mileage, time, and then you tip at the end, and the driver still gets a bonus on top of that for each ride, from the company. I was like, I can get behind that. so
Yeah.
so use that the whole time. But this Lyft driver was telling me that he has family in Tampa, and he's like, yeah, no, they always come here. He's like, I always have them come here because whenever they invite me there, I'm like, no, 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 you should come out here.
Legit though.
Because he's like, oh yeah, the times I've been there, ooh. I was just like, yeah, you needn't say more. So
And I thought Tampa was nice.
Tampa can get pretty bad in the summer, I've heard. So I don't know when he went there, but I mean, yeah, I mean the weather's going to be more or less similar to many of the places in Florida. I mean, anywhere. We think the weather is so much different everywhere in Florida, and it is, but you don't really know different until you're way out there.
On a whole nother coast. Yeah. That's fair. That's really fair.
Yeah,
Dang.
so
But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how geography sort of shaped me, but I guess yeah, you being surrounded by a lot more nature and all this other stuff can attribute to more, I guess, peace and tranquility um, within your life rather than self-inflicted what's the word? I guess chaos.
yeah.
Given that there's not a lot of places where you can sort of clear your head or, you know, even like road wise as well. Like you were even saying the road etiquette is different over there. So
Yeah,
that goes into geographics as well, I believe, how
a little bit.
or
I would
relatively.
say that's like half geographic, half like social. That's definitely a social thing, just the etiquette or the rules.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, and
they
I guess
they supposedly don't honk. Like you don't honk out there unless it's like a dire emergency or you're a tourist and have no idea. So yeah, it's just I mean, but the other thing is, people sort of are moving with a purpose out there. It's not like 190-year-olds on US 1 and you just crawling at 30 behind them in a 45 and
right.
just hating your life. Out there, you're on the highway and the speed limit's 55 in a construction zone and everyone is still going 75 to 80. But no one's going to get pulled over. Like
Can't pull over
you're just moving
everybody.
with the masses. Yeah.
All right.
So out there, it's more of like you just go with the flow of traffic. Like you pick out all the cars that are moving and you just do that. You follow. And
Rather
then
than people having their own beliefs of like, yeah, I don't give a frick. how fast I'm going. I'm just gonna go this speed, or I'm gonna give a frick how slow they're going. I'm just gonna go this speed. You know what I'm saying? Like they already
Right.
have an idea of how they're gonna go, not how everybody else is driving. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Crazy.
well,
And just
crazy
driving
indeed.
there is overall more interesting because, I mean, I guess that's just because I'm not from there, but I mean, here it's like flat, right? So the most excitement you get out of it is like a turn. Whereas there, you're going like this
Which is
the
also
whole
a
time.
geographic thing, because
Is
there's a lot of people down here who just, if they don't have much to look at, they won't pay attention to the road, and then they don't even know how to, like, they don't even know their own area, and they'll have to like GPS
yeah.
everything. It's like, dang, I forgot where that is. Or like, I got a couple people who I know who just don't know how to navigate, just because one, they don't even pay attention. To where it's like, if you're in a better place geographically, you're gonna want to pay attention and see all this stuff and be like, yep, that was there and that was.
Yeah, there's that. And then, I mean, it could also just be too overwhelming, which I feel like it would take me a long time to adjust there because there is a lot.
That
There's
too.
definitely a lot. So,
That too. Dang.
yeah.
Well, no, that's interesting. I mean, geographics definitely play a role. You know what I'm saying? The weather definitely.
Yeah, that's another
Weather's just
thing.
so.
My buddy said they'll go like 6 months without a drop of rain. Or like if it does
Which
rain in
that could
six
sort of
months,
be
it'll go for
negative.
like 5 minutes. Could be. Yeah, and that's why North California is sort of screwed right now. But luckily in the more southern part, it's it's just not as dry in general
Mm.
there. Like they still get, humidity. I know the week prior to when I was there, it was apparently pretty humid and it was getting up to like 80, but everyone's like, "Oh shit, 80 degrees. Oh my god."
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And
With
to
the
us,
humidity,
that's
they're
a
like, "Yuck."
hundred.
Yeah. And then here it's 105 basically with
You're just suffocating.
10% humidity. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Just
I
a little.
honestly think that like physically it was showing on me because I went out hiking and stuff 2 of the days, nothing crazy, but I mean a decent amount. Like I was hiked down this hill. It was like 200 meters of elevation change.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite a lot. I don't think
Yeah.
you could do anything even close to that here. Maybe like a couple meters in the single digits. 200 meters I went down in like a matter of 5 minutes. So I
Jeez.
think that just because of the dryness and like the different quality of air, I actually was having some kind of an effect. Like I would feel like sort of wavy. Now that could also have been because I flew, because I heard like there's this thing. It's sort of like vertigo, but it's like you get sea legs. Like if you've been on a boat or if you've
Mm.
flown, or even elevators can trigger it for some people if they go up and down a bunch of times, where you just sort of feel
Gotcha.
like shaky. But for me, I think it was honestly just like the air and all the elevation changes and things like that. Maybe the plane set me
Right.
off, I don't know, but I'd flown, I think, like in the summer last year, so it's not like it's been forever since I've been on a plane. So yeah.
Yep.
So it's very interesting.
Dang.
But
What were
yeah.
the people like if you interacted with, other than like the lift?
Generally it seemed pretty upbeat, honestly. The few like longer interactions I had were probably like at restaurants. So when I visited my friend out there in LA, which is like, so I went to San Diego, which is like very South California. But LA is like 2 hours north, still on the coast. And when I was there, went to this vegetarian restaurant, pretty small, like a block away from the water. And I mean, this waitress was super nice, like super nice, accommodating. She even, held our table, let us walk down to the beach to catch the sunset. For like 5 to 7 minutes. We came back. I mean, it wasn't that busy, right? But yeah, I think she held on to his wallet just in case. Which, I mean, okay, fine. We had only gotten waters at that point as it was, so it's not like we were gonna, dine and dash. But yeah, she was really nice. The Uber drivers were generally nice. I know one of them, or Lyft drivers, sorry. One of them lived there for like 20 years. One lived there for 5. But honestly, everyone was the same. We were like, yeah, I'm from Florida. They were like, oh,
sorry.
Pretty much, dude.
Oof.
Yeah, I didn't have a bad like encounter with a person. I mean, even so I took a rental car to LA. When I merged onto the highway, I think I told you this already. When I merged onto the highway, just, it was one of those things where I'm not used to the car, so I didn't realize where the blind spot was. And a guy was just magically seemingly next to me right as I'm about to merge into the, far right lane on the highway initially. And he's just there. And I just get like this look from him. He's like, and then keeps going, like no honk, no nothing. I was about to merge right into his car, and he just gave me a crazy look, sped up, and I was like, oh shit. And then everything was fine.
I mean, you'll be hearing from his hate talk later. So H8.
Right.
So
yeah. I think I saw his phone recording actually. So
yeah.
It was like, going around. He was like, oh, these mother freaker.
Look what we have today. This guy's driving like he's from I-75. Oh, wait, he's from I-75.
And he thought he was the king of the land. Actually, he's shit.
He's nothing but a mere peasant of the I-75.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because there it's I-5. It's just I-5. It's like, so we share a number.
It's like a high five.
Friend. Yeah. He almost gave me one with his car. It's like, here. Or I almost did. Anyways, I was just so excited to be there. I was like, dude, high five, man. Highway driving. Freak yeah.
Legit. I mean, got places to be. Trying to soak it all up. Because, you'll be soaking it all up in the swamp when you get back for eternity.
Dude,
hopefully just not for eternity. It feels like.
Oh, just getting off the plane. It was like 8 at night. We get into the, whatever it's called, a boarding tunnel. Like once you step foot, it's just up against the plane. But all the air,
the humidity,
whatever the outside temperature is, you feel it right as you cross that threshold.
It's giving you a hug. Welcome back.
I wanted to go give the plane a hug and never leave it. Be like, take me back. Please take me back. Talk to the pilot, just go to the pilot's cabin. Be like, hey, listen, man, I'm just going to join you wherever you're going next. Just not here.
Yeah. We got to beat this weather.
You can lock me up in the storage cabinet as long as you take me with you.
Right. Dang. Well, everybody give a nice welcome back to Alec. Yay.
Yeah, round of applause. Back to the shitter. Back to the geographical toilet.
Relatively. It's all relative.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's literal. It may be relative, but it's literal.
I mean, there's some people who might like the humidity, and they might like,
and they can stay. Hey, someone's got to infest the toilet. All right.
True.
Someone's got to do it. Take it for the team. Had to take it for the team sometimes. So
low keto.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, let's move on. That was a good chat about geography.
Okay.
These are all over the place sort of this week. So
They really are.
so pick your poison.
I guess I'll go with the oldest one.
All right.
The let's see. How deep is the brainwash within this society? You know, being shown in the little things and what?
Oh yeah, I added that as a note, like to myself,
Okay, I was gonna say I
on
do not
something to touch
remember.
on. Yeah, yeah, I just added that today because I thought of it. But um, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
geez, it's like being brainwashed into thinking Florida is nice. Um,
Eh, it's we gonna get there. So actually, before the last cast, I was watching a video
mm,
before we started recording, obviously,
incredible.
and it was a music or not a music, a movie review on Midsummer. And shout out the guy who made the video. I can't remember the title or the YouTube creator, but shout out him. And he was pretty much saying how uh, the movie brainwashes you, and you know, it's like he went over. I didn't watch a full video, but pretty much the movie is about a cult, right? And how cults pretty much brainwash you, and or how they're brainwashing this girl, right? Because she's, you know, all the perfect candidates for being brainwashed. You know, she's lonely, she's looking for family. You know, her family just died, and you know the list goes on and on. She's in a bad relationship. I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not trying to spoil the movie, but pretty. Are you gonna watch it?
It's unlikely after your review of it.
All right, well, spoiler alert. At the end, she does something to where it's like she is the prominent figure in the cult, and she's finally like seen as somebody. And you know, for the first time in a while, it seems like she has people who cares about her. She's one of the more prominent people in the cult, and she's like giving this weird smile at the end, and she hasn't smiled all movie because you know she's been through a lot. So they were saying how like that sort of brainwashes you because they were doing a lot of like horrendous things throughout the movie, right? Like they were killing people and just getting people to have sex, and they're like force pretty much forcing rape, like subconscious rape on somebody, like legit. Or I guess it was just a wild thing. And
Jeez.
the guy was saying like how it brainwashes you to think it's like a happy ending when it's not, because well, one, she's in this terrible cult. But anyways, like that was the topic of the video, and
Mm-hmm.
like he was just going over how cults brainwash you, and he was saying like how, you know, they start by they look for people who are easily accessible, you know, people who are vulnerable, people who are, you know, they feel lonely or they're going through a lot. They don't have many people to reach out to. That's how it starts, you know. And the guy brought up a an interesting person, a philosopher who had a quote who was like, I can't remember the freaking quote, but he was saying pretty much we try to combat our loneliness with the wrong with the wrong solution. Like the only answer to loneliness is being alone. And pretty much saying like understand yourself rather than try and go out and be something or be a part of something that you know you don't want to be. Or like you, or I wouldn't say you know you don't want to be, but you wouldn't you
It's
wouldn't
something
be
you've
a part of it if
resorted
you
to.
knew. Exactly. Settling, you know, that's been a very prominent thing, pull and pray. But um, yeah, so Alex face. But legit, I mean, am I lying? Like you're settling for these people in order to
Yeah.
fulfill your emptiness. And it's just like that's target number one. So if we think of that to how our society is, you know, right now, they were saying there's already like, and the guy brought up another interesting fact. He was like even before the virus and all this quarantining came about, like we are in one of the most loneliest stages of like humanity, where like not a lot of people are together. So now that we are in this quarantine, we're we have to social distance, we're even more alone, so um yeah, so if we try and apply that to like how society sort of brainwashes you, it's like, if I mean, not even just on a lonely aspect, on just like pure like what we experience, we frick, I sort of lost my thought, but um I can't freaking remember. I'll jump back to the loneliness, but then he goes into how cults are like sort of pressure you, like the peer pressure and a constant having to constant having to do task, right? um so always making you do something, so you don't have time to sit and reflect. And one could say you don't have time to be hyper sane, and
Mm-hmm.
you're always doing something. If you, that's obviously very prominent today, because it's like, nowadays people working 9 to 5, and as soon as they get off work, they're still doing something that they might not want to do, but something that's been sort of conditioned, where it's like relaxing, or, you know, like, oh, I gotta go to sleep, or I gotta take a nap, or I gotta drink, or I gotta smoke, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're constantly doing something to escape from that 9 to 5, which still couldn't even, or might not even be, what we want to do, so that constant flow of just task to do, because like we're given task at work to do, which is already task, and then like work is a task, and then, oh, now you got to pay your bills, and oh, now you got to, like, if you're in school, got to do your homework and all this other stuff, got to take care of kids, got to cook, got to clean, got to go, what I'm saying, all these constant things just to survive,
So life is a cult.
relatively. I guess I wouldn't say life is a cult, like the way we live life is a cult, like cult-esque.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I think. And then he had like another, like the last topic that I can remember was like blind them with the sunlight. So pretty much blind them with the pretty much the light, the instead of trying to like blind them with the dark, blind them with the light, blind them with something that they wouldn't expect, like feed them all this good, you know, this facade, feed them, all these things that seem to be good. Like in the movie, the girl is like, she finally asks people who are for her. And, what I'm saying? Like, they're feeding them and they're dancing all the time and they're doing all this. And, they're always together. They preach togetherness. But that's
Right.
all been sort of blinded, or that all sort of blinds to the actual negative, like they're killing people. Then they won't let you leave. You just don't understand. You have no free will. There's no choice. So if we look at how that sort of applies to today as well, like we're sort of blinded with, this sort of idea that I guess maybe fame could be that, or entertainment. All these things are sort of bad, or not, I mean good, but really sort of blind like what's really going on, which sort of goes back to like I think last week's topic, where it's like, why are we why are we in this, we're in a dystopia, but it's sort of blinded by this utopia on social media, what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you see a lot of people are living their best life, or they're, what I'm saying, they're doing all this, even throughout times like this where celebrities are like in their home, like their $1 million homes, and they're like making all these crazy videos, and like they're making all these videos like, yeah, I support this and all that, but they're in their, nice homes, to where it's like it's still still a bit of a flex, and it's still blind to us, where it's like, dang, at least they're living like a, a solid home during quarantine. So,
Yeah.
like, needless to say, we're sort of blinded by these things. There's a lot of passions out there. Or also, there's a lot of things that are, perceived as good, but really have bad implications. That could be a whole nother discussion. But yeah, so that was like another thing. And I just thought it was pretty interesting because it's like, this all leads to just like the relative brainwash, like the basic brainwashing, always given a task, always having to, always having to, no time to think, just do, and no time to reflect. You know what I'm saying? Blinded by these things that we think are good when it's really all cap. And you know what I'm saying? What else? Being vulnerable to the brainwash. There's a lot of people who, like we said before, are bots relatively and don't have the ability to think for themselves because they, one, might be too lonely to think for themselves, and they don't know how to be alone, so therefore they don't know how to even think alone. And they have all these ideas and all these thoughts of other people and other like groups, and we're gonna say the P word, the very prominent thing that's going on in this society right now, the P word. If and we all know what it is, but we try to avoid talking about it on this podcast. But yeah, like blinded by that, and all these things that just sort of blind us. And all in all, we're sort of brainwashed, I think, in this society. So yeah, that was my thought. Any thoughts? I know it's a lot. I should have took a break.
I guess the only thing I could really add is like it could also be constructed to make you think that you have a decision or that you have a choice.
When in reality,
when really all the choices are what's intended.
Our humidity level.
So
our swamp.
Yeah. Every choice leads you to the swamp. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's sort of fricked, but then again, what can you do? What can we do? We don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about it. I don't know. I guess awareness is really the only thing.
Yeah, but not many people are aware, or they have no idea.
It's true, and they're so a part of it that legit, even if they're brought the awareness, they will never be aware.
Right. And I was actually just the other day, so these like maybe this past month, I started watching or rewatching Avatar, The Last Airbender, right? That show is so good, but that's for another. But one of the episodes is like legit just watched this like the other night. It's just binge watching. But one of the episodes is pretty much saying they had to go to the Earth Kingdom, right? Ba Sing Se was the Earth Kingdom, the biggest city in the Earth Kingdom, and pretty much it had a whole like that whole city was brainwashed. You know what I'm saying? It was a city of refugees. Obviously they're traumatized, from maybe other regions where people get quote unquote a fresh start, and they're sort of blinded by the opportunity of going there. You know what I'm saying? Of being able to work there, having stuff relatively easier. You don't hear about the bad things. You don't, you know what I'm saying? There's always things to talk about. There's always sightseeing. There's always these things that distract you. There's so much to do that you don't see the bad. And come to find out, like the whole city is legit. Like it's the Earth Kingdom. So you know how in Avatar there's like the Earthbenders, they can make like rock walls and stuff. Legit, like they have like in the show the biggest wall, obviously, you know, on an Earth Kingdom, the most impenetrable wall, and like on a literary level, that wall is the you know, like a figurative saying of how people are pretty much confined within this society, and how this wall is supposed to protect you, but really it's not really helping you at all. And in the episodes, they were trying, the Avatar obviously comes and he's like trying to get information to the Earth King and let them know, like, yo, we can beat the Fire Nation if we do this. But they made it so hard to get to the Earth King because, one, they didn't want him to get that information to the Earth King because it had the opportunity to spread chaos if they, you know, anything, any type of war talk or anything brought chaos. And pretty much, or that's what they believed, and they're trying to keep it as utopian as possible. They even had like tour guides who were brainwashed to be happy and give you all this information and tell you what you can do and what you can't do and pretty much be by your side. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting because that's like that whole, like in the show, that whole society was brainwashed. And you know, it's like it's pretty much a big cult, like you know what I'm saying? They didn't want their people knowing much, but they still had people work regular jobs every day. You know, they had them do all these tasks, you know. They were limited on what they could do. You know what I'm saying? They came in as refugees. They came in as people who are, you know, I guess you could say at a lower lower whatever the frick. I guess more
Lower social
prone, more
status.
yeah, are more prone and more susceptible to anything rather than, you know, firm and, you know, I guess without will, less will. People who are less willed and less driven to, I guess, think for themselves. So I just thought that was also interesting because that's a kid's show. That's a kid's show saying all that. And we could even go there, but that's for another week. But like just that show in general is so much more deeper than being a kid's show, and it's enjoyable to even the adult. But yeah,
Right.
they even had, you know what I'm saying, that brainwash theory going on. So yeah. And like you said, you know, their options weren't that great. But they don't know that because they're just all confined. They're confined within their options, within their mind. And you know, nobody's thinking outside of the box when you're within the box. If all you know is a box, how can you think outside? You know,
You need
so
something to know that there's an outside.
right. So yeah, I just thought brainwashing is a pretty interesting thing, and we might be. Oh yeah, and the whole question was like, how brainwashed are we? How deep is the brainwash? You know what I'm saying? Because even us talking about being brainwashed could be another, like a subtle thing of being brainwashed. If we're thinking how, like that's like on a full hyper sane level, like how deep is it? Alex, like, yeah, he needs to shut the frick up. But that was my question. And I was just sort of going to where it was brought and all these thoughts. So are we brainwashed? Are we brainwashed to think that we're brainwashed and really we're not brainwashed?
I feel like
You
that's
know what I'm
less
saying?
likely. I doubt that it
That's
goes
like the
full
ultimate
inception.
level of brainwash.
Yeah. There
That's
definitely
like a
is some
level of
level out there.
brainwash.
I think we're just acknowledging that there is. If this was the level of brainwash, then
Oh,
all right.
freak.
Well,
You were just
it's
like,
been a nice
whew.
run, everyone. We're gonna have to shut the podcast down.
Yep. Let me go ahead and
No
lather my
lie.
brain, lather my moin. Moin lathering. Moin.
Yep. I'll see everyone later. Bye.
Oh, freak.
God.
Anyways, next topic.
Yeah. Now that we know we're
While we're on
screwed.
the thin ice level, racism may never end. I had this thought the other day, and it's just wild because we make, a lot of these songs. Like, let's say, like a black artist makes songs, and they talk about, and just a lot of black experience spawned from like, and this is coming from a black experience, obviously. But we talk about like being in a store, and I can tell you how many times I've had the thought where it's like me walking in a store and not getting anything, and then walking out and being like, are they gonna think, are they gonna think I stole something? You know what I'm saying? Legit. And it's like, for real.
Is this bad that I've even thought that myself. Does that just make me a good person?
That too.
Because
Yeah.
I do like, it's like, God, like someone's got to think that I'm stealing something. Because I came in and they actually didn't have what I need, but
right. And I'm just like, yep. So that might have been me pushing, like that's maybe like a black thing. But even then, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm thinking that's a black thing. Like I'm putting race on it in my own mind. And that's what I'm saying. Like racism may never end because like people will have like these perceived notions. Even if somebody's not trying to be racist, you might be like, oh, that's racist.
We would need it to be like eradicated to an extent where it wasn't really ever like talked about or anything, and then have a whole new generation enter, and then the rest be like gone. Like it would have to be a whole new wave of
human
people. Yeah, pretty much.
And that's what I'm saying.
That may be what it takes.
Which goes back to like the last week's topic. Can we have a fresh start in a society? That would be the fresh start, in theory.
Yeah. Could be a fresh start for some other shit though.
Legit. Like the other day, and it's tough. I don't want to think this way, but it just happens. Especially after the agenda keeps getting pushed down our throats.
Right.
But I was playing beach volleyball, sand volleyball, and somebody on another court, their ball like came towards me off the court. I'm saying? I picked it up, threw it back at the guy, and it was a white guy. And he just didn't even say anything. Like, it's usually somebody's like, thank you, appreciate it. Or, for throwing the ball back, but he just didn't even say anything. And then it gave me like this sort of smug look at that. Like I threw it back at him. I was looking at him, I guess because I was expecting him to say something, and he just didn't. And then he turned around and kept playing, and I was like, did I rain on your parade? Like giving you the ball back?
Yeah, you touched it. How dare you?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm thinking, I go in my mind, and I'm like, dang, well, he's just not like black people. That's the first thing. One of the first thoughts.
Oh,
like, he must not like the blacks. Frick. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, we've conditioned to the point where it may never end.
Yeah, we know that there's those people out there, so we think that there always will be and is.
Yep, and it's more prominent. And it might not have been that. He just might not have liked anybody doing that.
Yeah. Although he was playing with people, right?
He was.
So I hope he likes those people. He's actually just trying to spike the ball at their faces.
Right, because
he hasn't gotten the chance yet. Yeah. Even his partner, he's gonna be like, oh, sorry, man. I was trying to hit over the net. I just totally went backwards.
Legit. But that's what I'm saying. Like that sort of thought hops in my mind, like, can it ever end? I was at the store and had the thought, right? I'm like, can this ever end? Just off of, maybe it can end within, you know, within ourselves, and hopefully that can transfer over. Like that's where it has to start, and then it will start to end within everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, or
Right.
spread. But that's for another day. It's
Yeah.
another interesting thought I had.
Fair enough.
And then a lot of little marks on this desk. Flodge. Sorry. But
It's
next
not hard to
topic.
make them.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
But next and last topic, music. You know, what makes our favorite music, our favorite? Like, not even on, like, let's say without lyrics for this topic, because obviously there's a lot of instrumentals. I've been listening to a lot of electronic music or lo-fi music, and I was saying, like, a lot of it's similar, but like I'm sort of intrigued on why I like others like a bit more better. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what, like, I'm trying to put it in like a music theory perspective. Like, is
I
it
mean,
like a sort of chord that rings with me, or is it like a pattern? And if so, like, why is it different amongst, like, is it different amongst people? Or and how? Like, what's the scientific like level? Like,
yeah, it probably is. I feel like there's a couple like ways you could think about it. Like you could go like neurologically, like physically,
yeah,
and then you could go into like music theory. Like, yeah, are there certain instruments or sounds or like style?
right,
But I think it goes back to more of like the person rather than the music. It's like what, like you're receiving this these harmonics or sounds into your ear, and
right,
from there your brain is processing it, and it's saying, yeah, that's a nice collection of sounds and the sequences are nice. And I feel like it's just and then some people think the same, right? So maybe there's a link between like personality types. Maybe there's some other kind of link between, I mean, there's influences, right? Like we both started listening to that kind of music and sort of transitioned. I
yeah,
put some of it out there, you put some of it out there. And so,
yeah,
there was that link. And then, I mean, there is just the complexity of it. Some people could like simple things, some people could like more complex, like interesting things. I don't
and then
know.
there's some who appreciate all, like, simple and
Yeah.
complex. It's just like,
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate some simple, not all simple, but like classical piano. It's nice sometimes.
yeah,
Which, I mean, it can also be complex if you think about it. I mean, it's only one instrument, but you can certainly do a lot on it, via chords and chord progressions and rhythms and patterns and whatnot.
right,
But
right. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like, I wish maybe my question is more like, I'm curious to know, like, the neurological level behind, you know, chords and like music, and how it physically strikes us. Cause, like, legit, I was driving, just coming back from inspection from out of town. Got a whole list of playlists, similar sounds, and like, I hear one song and I'm like, that's nice. And I hear another song and I'm like, that's nice, but not really. Like, I have a playlist. and I'm like, it's not, that one's not really playlist worthy, but the other one is. But then they both are like sort of the same, and it's like, what made this song better or worse? Like,
could have been the
why
key
did I
at that
favor?
point.
That's true.
Different tones or different like tonal center.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Maybe I have to do some. So I'm sure that there's some kind of studies on it. So
might have to do our own study.
Yeah, it's who that would take a lot of resources.
It would, but yeah. Well, that's all I got, and we pretty much made it a relatively lengthy volume.
Yeah.
If you have any more you want to say.
Not really. I don't have an explanation. Is there one? Probably. There could be multiple. So that's my final thoughts on it. All right, Santa. Or sorting hat. It sort of is going up into a point. Gryffindor. Anyways.
Gryffindor. For all the listeners, I have a head wrap on for my locks, and it looks like the hat from Harry Potter, the talking hat.
You gotta get a brown one now. And then make sure you have some like straggler strings hanging from the side.
Oh yeah,
the same thing. It's like this raggedy old hat. I'm not sure about this one. Slytherin.
No. No. A head puppet. Anyways.
Hyper head puppet. I give you the following. You come back with a brown one.
Head pup. Yeah, I could. But anyways. Well.
Great
indeed.
Dang. And I guess we'll have to do the next week thing. Really reference that title. It's sort of a nondescript title. Pull and pray. We'll have to do the pull, pray, and delay method on this one. So we'll have to remember to touch on that next week. Maybe.
We'll have to.
But yeah.
Anyways. Without further ado, I guess lastly, follow us on all our links. You know the freaking links by now. You can find it in the description.
It is in the description, yeah. Description.
I'm Kamari. That's Alec.
Yeah.
Giving sort of an intro, outro. But yeah. That being said, stay hyper washed.